We're back intermittently, albeit, but we're doing another FlowPoint podcast. I got the professor back. Matteo, what's going on, dude?
What's up, Marcus? How you doing?
Tell me where you are in the world right now.
Well, I happen to be back home and in Italy at the home where I grew up. Back home to my parents' house for a few days. Leaving tomorrow for Spain for the Mediterranean Games. So there's a bit of packing going on, but classic home.
Yeah, it's a semi shit show probably. I'm sure as usual, stuff going on left and right.
Yeah, classic. The ski bag is still all over the place. Usual.
Because you were just in Florida like moments ago, and then you have your tournament coming up that we'll get to in a little bit back in Italy. Wow.
I was in Florida with you not too long ago, days ago, and
I know. And you had baby face then. You already have a full beard again. What happened?
Genetics, man. Genetics. I don't know much about genes, but when it comes to beard, I'm doing pretty solid.
Awesome. I think you know a lot more about genes than most. So, hey, we're going to get right into it. This episode is going to be more rapid fire than we've been in the past. And first off, this first topic I want to talk about, I'm pretty excited. I want to talk about the mental preparation, and this is something that I'm going to just give you an objective. I want to hear 3 quick tips or tools that people can start using today and implementing today in their own skiing, whether they're tournament skiers or just, they love to ski the course. Tools that can help them perform more consistently or more consistently closer to their potential. Because a lot of people have trouble with that. They have a great set or great performance, and then the next one is terrible. They're in a huge slump all of a sudden. They have no idea why. So what are 2 or 3 tips that you think you could give people straight away that they can implement starting tomorrow?
Yeah, I think one that goes for no matter what level you are in water skiing is simplify, right? So we're doing a very complex sport. It's outdoor sport, so you have an environment, both equipment. This sport can be very complex and multifaceted sport, but really the challenge is to simplify, to sort of cream out variables as you can. So, you have a set and you don't ski great. That's generally when it happens. And you start considering a huge number of things, technique, equipment, boat driver, wind, all these things. And the challenge really becomes to choose one, to focus on, right? I think that's something that no matter where you're just skiing outside of the course or maybe just starting your way into the course, or if you're trying to run 41 off, that's always a good advantage. And what you'll notice is that generally those at a very high level are generally better at choosing what to focus on. I think that's a good one.
Sorry, go ahead. What's another one? So to recap, simplify. Take all the objectives and try to focus on one thing that might yield the most return on investment as far as attention.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard, but do your best to choose less than more. Cool. I would say the second one can go ahead, but it's more who you ski with. Don't trust too many people. And I know that this sounds actually pretty bad, but in order to simplify even more, have 1 or 2 people that you trust. Hear many, but listen few, right? So really try to narrow down to, 2 or 3 people that you trust, that in my example, I have you, Carlo, and Will. These are my 3 people that when I'm deep into the stuff, that's where I go, So, that's, to me, those are the 3 people, but don't listen to too many people, I would say. It just complicates things even further. And,
so I have a question about that. How do you not offend people? Because I know people have different ski partners. You're going from one lake to another. You're skiing with 5, 10 different people. How do you say, hey, you can ride in the boat, but I probably won't listen to anything you say? Is that what you should do, or do you just let the people talk, but don't internalize any of it. And all the while, your foot's cramping in the bindings. Like, how do you get around that?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it depends on the time of the season. So if I need a thoughtless set, it's 3 days before leaving for a competition, and someone wants to come in and instill their knowledge on me, I'll just won't let them in. I'll say, sorry, I just need one person in the boat. Hopefully there's a person around in the boat that either I trust or that they will shut up. And sure that they rise, and I say I need only two people because I have, 2 people at tournaments. Yeah. But depends. Like say it's March and I'm just doing, in my case, 35 and 38, and I know what I'm working on, and I won't mind listening to anyone. And you have to be careful with that, because sometimes you don't know who would be able to give you good advice.
Exactly.
Like in college, one of my favorite people to ride for me was Ramona Kostenberger, Claudia's young sister.
Yep.
Like she had a clinical eye, and her PB was something at 28 or 32. So, that's the other thing. Like, you have to be open, provided the time of the season allows for it, right? To just have anyone in, or almost anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that. And then the third one, I think I'll bring in the whole wolf idea. What do you say?
Say it again?
The wolf idea, the external locus of control.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, cover that real quick.
Okay, so essentially what we know from probably 25 years of research in sports sciences is that it's much better to, when you're trying to learn a new movement or refine a new movement, to focus on the consequences of the movement on the environment rather than on your body, right? So think about a swing in golf. Rather than focusing on your arms and wrists and shoulders, focus on the face of the club, or even better, the trajectory of the ball that you're trying to achieve. Bring that in skiing. It's a lot about where you want the environment to be, or where you want to be in the environment, not really where your arms and legs and hips needs to be. I had a good conversation with Will about it, and he says, like, I hate people trying to micromanage me, right? And I think that speaks at length about like how, in skiing, it's not probably the best thing to talk about hips and feet and, and elbows and whatever that else a lot of coaches speak, but maybe something more about where the handle needs to be, where the ski needs to be, where you need to be in relation to the ball or to the boat. So these more like consequential external things rather than where your body needs to be or what you need to do.
And that's interesting, because that does simplify things just right away. Like it takes a lot of the thoughts out of the equation, and you can move into more of a simplistic view of how to approach skiing or that pass or that set for that day. Although it is counter to some of the things I think are necessary from my end, which is interesting because I like that implementation, but I do think sometimes people have deficiencies in body mechanics that in some way need to be reset or reprogrammed. And sometimes there needs to be some mechanism by which to micromanage, which gets to kind of the next thing, if you want to go right into that. I was going to talk to you about.
Yeah. Right away, all I will say is that it comes to your ability and artistry as a good coach to make sure that you give an external locus of attention tip that manages to get the body mechanics that you want to see.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? And that's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, if it wasn't, then everybody would be doing it that way, probably.
Exactly.
So next topic I want to touch on, new skill development. Okay, so this is something for me that I wanted to ask you personally, but I think a lot of people might learn from it. I have this idea that a lot of people just go through the line. They ski tournament rides almost every single practice set. They'll just go shorter or faster until they reach their limit, and then they'll hit the wall and beat the head against the wall. And some sets are great, some sets aren't great. My question is, because our sport isn't like golf or tennis or baseball where you can drill, you can go to the driving range, you can go to the putting green, you can take serves from a batting cage and practice your swing with a baseball bat. But you can't really break our sport down into components. So the thing that I always go to is, well, can you work on something that it may be too impossible to work on at your toughest pass? Can you work on that easier and reprogram your muscle memory better at easier passes? Or free skiing, say, where there's no buoys and no anxiety-producing inputs. And if so, will those skills learned in that less critical environment transfer when you get to your toughest pass, like for you at 39 and 41 off? Or is that just two different things?
See, you nailed the key word, transfer, right? And unfortunately, one of the things we know is that the ability of a skill done in a certain way to transfer to something else, more often than not, is not very good. And it's interesting that that's the case, because a lot of times coaches devise drills, coaches devise certain things in the hope, or better, convinced that they will transfer to 39, to batting at the 7th down, or whatever, right? Yeah. And the question becomes, when is it going to transfer? And the rule of thumb is make it as similar as possible to the actual thing, which in my opinion is why you see a lot of high-end skiers staying away from free skiing, staying away from even back-to-backs, because they say it's so freaking far off from what I'm trying to achieve that I'm better off just trying that over and over and over again. Is it a winning strategy? It's tough to say. I mean, one of the things that Carlo taught me is that 39 and 41 are tough physically, but they're also very tough mentally. So you can't do too many. But at the same time, you need to do them. You need to improve.
Otherwise, you won't get better at them.
Right. Yeah. So you're asking me a question that I honestly don't know how to answer. What I say is that if there was an alternative, then I think more pro skiers would have considered it. But it seems to me that they notice such a big gap between the alternatives that they can drill, say like a free skiing or like a lot of 32 off passes, and a 41 or a 39, right? And on top of this, say 32 off, you can do 6, 8, but you can do 47, like you would do at a driving range.
Exactly.
So even there, it seems that
the volume
the volume is not worth the shot.
Yeah.
But it's a complicated question.
Do you think? I have a question about from the top down. Do you think pro skiers, because our sport is kind of a fledgling sport, we don't have the money that snow skiers have. We don't have the money that all these other sports have for sports science. For guys like you to go out and study this and give us the data, do you think because we are young that skiers just are going to, at the highest level, because it works for them, they're just going to default to the easiest thing, which would be just tournament sets, but that maybe that might not be the ideal approach overall? And then, of course, by default, everybody else, all the amateurs, they see the pros doing that, and that's kind of what everybody defaults to, instead of maybe there being some middle ground between running 32 offs all the time as a pro skier and pounding your head against the wall at 41 off all the time. Is there an intersection point that we're kind of missing because we don't have the data, or we don't have enough research on how best to parse this out?
Yeah. I think it's certainly a component. I'm sure that, say, maybe if there was 100 times the capital in water skiing, probably now we would have skis and boats that are not so hard on the body to ski, right? Yeah. And therefore that would allow more reps. Yeah. And all of a sudden the possibilities are humongous as far as different kind of regimens and training. I think the money is obviously a big issue. Of course, with the money would come the interest in someone like a scientist or, an engineer to come in and really dedicate serious time to understand, body mechanics, equipment, I think, but I don't know. I just, maybe I'm wrong, but I see this renewed interest in water skiing that makes me very hopeful for the future of the sport, first and foremost, and then also for maybe a bit more money to better understand the 41 off Pandora box.
Yeah. All right. Well, so that leads me to another question that we didn't put on the list, but who do you think is going to break through? Like up and coming skiers, who do you think, guys and girls at the pro level, or who do you think is going to continue to dominate? Just give me a 24-month. Sorry, I got my girls. They want to say.
I don't think she liked the question.
No, she hated the question. They're not much on water skiing. When they go to the lake, they like to fetch. They don't like to ski. They do like to ride the boat.
Yeah.
They do like to ride the boat.
There you go. That's good.
So 24 months from now, who are we going to be talking about 24 months from now on the guy's side and on the girl's side? 1 minute, go.
Well, yeah, I'm a little biased, but I think Sean Hunter is going to make it through in the next 2 years. Not in the next year. Next year is going to be a college year, and who knows?
Who knows?
It's just hard to balance skiing and school and everything else. I think Brooke Baldwin has had a few 39s here and there sporadic. That may be the time that if she cracks how to make it a little bit more consistent, then we'll be talking about her hugely. I don't see Nate going anywhere. I still see Freddie being the guy that can bother him. And I think Mano certainly has discovered something this year. The whole, cake recipe of variables, she may have found a decent recipe. So we'll see her poking at Regina a little bit more often.
I like that. I like that recap. So back to you, personal success. Talking about, Sean Hunter's going to college. You once were ranked 4th in under 21 worlds in overall slalom, trick, and jump combined. I didn't know that. You did all 3, and you were actually really freaking good at all 3. I don't mean that in a bad way. You don't ever talk about it. People just think about you as like a slalom skier now. So
yeah.
So how did you balance going to school and being a 3-eventer? What are 1 or 2 personal tips you have that allowed you to be successful on the water and off the water and kind of balance life and training?
Yeah. Well, overall game is a completely different ball game, right? So you have to be at the lake. Like there's no way around it. You can't take 5 or 6 sets a day when you're in your teens without being at the lake the whole day. It's just like the way it is. So you better be liking the lake, you better be loving, like being in the water when you're not skiing and being on a sunbed and, being in the boat. All these things that come around with the lake. Now, the lake life in Europe, water skiing is a little bit different than in the United States. Simply
everybody's
because
wearing Speedos and eating fruit bowls and smoking cigarettes, chain smoking.
Pretty much, yeah. And on top of that, they're doing all of that at a club, right? It's not the private lake with 7 people. It's like a lake that we were fortunate to find with 100 people, right? And so skiing is on the clock, but then you're mingling around the lake all the time. For me, the only way to do overall during the school days, I was going to school Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 1 p.m. And so I would take the train, or my dad would give me a ride to the lake, half an hour away. I would stay there the whole day, manage my 3, hopefully 4 sets in, get back home and get a late dinner. As soon as school was over, like literally the day, get your stuff, get to the lake, camper van, stay there for 3 months in the summer, ski.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
A lot of sacrifices, but you need to like the lake life. And you need to be a little bit also other oriented because, you're driving your friends, you have to love that environment. If you're there just solely as a pure performer, all about me, overall skiing, I don't think is going to be your jam.
I like that. I think that's a good lesson for everybody, no matter what the age. Just to keep that in mind, just to remember, you got to love the lake. It's not just about the score you get that day. It's about the whole package. I like that.
It really is. It really is. It keeps you in the sport. Like my dad always told me, despite it, I was, in the overall and juniors and stuff, I was pretty good. He always told me, I'd rather see you ski in the open categories, like still liking to water ski, than to win a medal now and then quit when you're 18.
Yeah. Yep.
And whatever he did, it was pretty successful, I guess.
Of course.
Still.
Yep. Still got the calluses. All right, dude.
Still the callus.
This is the last topic. You have your pro event coming up July 6th through 8th. Can you give me just a sneak peek at the kind of the history of the event? Like, why did you chew off or bite off more than you could chew, deciding you could like host a pro event? Because that right there is like, this isn't the first year, but just it's been going for a couple of years now, at least, and that's a big
50 years this year.
5 years, dude. That's a huge amount of responsibility in planning and organizing. What were you thinking?
Well, what I was thinking was it was a combination of two things. We organized the under 21 Europeans and Junior Worlds, so 2007 and 2010. And we were sick of giving away money for institutional events. The money would go to an entity we didn't know, and skiers were just paying a bunch of money. So we were a little sick about that. And the other idea, like the other motive for me was when I moved to the United States for college, Bubu Alessi told me, you need to ski as many pro tournaments as you can afford because that's how you become a great skier. And then I thought, well, there's no pro tournaments in Europe anymore. And there's this massive, massive pool of talent, and so I said, okay, I want to give a chance to that. And actually, so that was really my main motive to start it. Like, make sure that the money we are willing to put and our sponsors are willing to put in the event go back to the athletes, and giving an opportunity to young and upcoming athletes to ski a pro event, to be on the dock with Will Asher and Regina and Manon, and Nate, all these skiers. Yeah,
tell me about why you decided to include juniors. I think that's a really cool piece. Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Mark?
I hear you, buddy.
Okay, tell me why.
Why you decided to include juniors this year.
Oh, yeah. So this year, every year, we challenge ourselves to add something, whether on the organizational side, on the skiing side. And this year, I just wanted to do a head-to-head junior event. But I want it to be pure invitation, no entry fee. And I want it to be some kind of honor, but also something new. So, I obviously got inspired by the Masters. The top two juniors in the Friday ski, the Saturday for women and the Sunday for boys, they ski head-to-head for a scholarship. And I thought, well, they're going to ski head-to-head everything. So I invited the top four. They'll do a round of seeding just to determine bracketing, and then they'll do round of four or round of two for some cash.
That's awesome. Yeah. Where can people go to watch this?
Okay, so the website is gervasioproam.com. The Water Ski Broadcasting Company will be here broadcasting the event.
Cool.
They'll be able to see it on the website. A few days before, we'll put the live stream ready to be watched.
And I will include a link to that in the notes on this podcast, so people should be able to click on it and go straight to your website, hopefully. So.
Sweet. Yeah, no, that's not.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, anything else? Anything else you want to share, buddy? Is it bedtime there?
Yeah, it's about midnight right now. I'm leaving at 9 to go to Tarragona for these Mediterranean Games.
That's right.
Dude, it's good jam. I won in 2009. I got third in 2013. Let's see what happens this year. But a rule of the Mediterranean Games is that you ski on the Mediterranean Sea. And
what's that like?
Sorry?
What is that like? Give people like a 15-second recap. Years past.
Well, it's two to three passes below. So I think I won with 4 at 35 the first time. and then I did 3 runoffs with Jean-Baptiste Pessis with 3 at 38. I think in 2013, Carlo won, and he was the only one to run 35. And this year, we'll see, man. We're in a port, so apparently the water's going to be a little calmer, but there's walls. So
seawalls, vertical. We like vertical seawalls.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see.
Well,
should be fun.
I think the most important question I have is how are you going to prepare your beard for that salt water?
Oh, I hope they have showers, man. And I'm bringing oil. I mean, the beard is covered. I figured out equipment today, but the beard was covered 2 months ago. So we're good to go.
Perfect. Hey, buddy, thanks for joining us, man. It was fun. We'll do it again.
Whenever you want.
Yeah, I'm going to ask people to email flowpointpodcast@gmail.com for some more questions, so the next time we bring you on, we can kind of answer some people's questions. Obviously, not doing this podcast every single week, but you email me some questions and we'll get Matteo back on. His beard will be 3 times longer by then, and we'll be able to answer some email questions. So
there you go.
Good luck this weekend. Is there anywhere where we can watch the Mediterranean Games this weekend?
You know, I'm not exactly sure. I know they have their own website. You can watch live scores of all the events, because Mediterranean Games is an Olympic event, right? So there'll be soccer, beach volleyball, track, swim. But yeah, I think they have a website. I don't know if they'll have webcast. Okay. Not sure.
Well, let me know, and then I'll include that if there is. So
we'll do.
Awesome.
We'll do.
Right on. Thanks, buddy. That was really fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Here. Talk soon, Marcus.
See ya.